It's another beautiful day for baseball in Los Angeles.
And baseball podcast.
Josh Schaefer and Blake Harris
Cover everything Dodgers right here on Inside the Ravine.
How is it going, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Inside the Ravine. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Josh Schaefer. Josh, you just got off a very, very important phone call, so I'm glad you were able to sneak in some time to record this quick episode, so I appreciate you wrapping up that call. How are things over there in beautiful Ontario this morning?
It was good. The call was a little bit longer than anticipated, but I think we got done everything we needed to. But yeah, it's been a little cloudy here in Southern California the last couple of days. It rained on my way home from work yesterday, on my way into the office today. So I'm kind of in on that a little bit because it was warm last week. But you know what? The Dodgers have been kind of up and down a little bit recently, so maybe that's where you see the cloud coverage coming in. But hopefully there's, some sunny days on the other side of things and a couple of big series coming up for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday for the 1 o'clock game, me, my dad, my uncle, we were in talks of going to the game, and we saw the weather outside, and we're like, we're good. I think we're going to pass. And even today, I was out on my morning walk, and it starts drizzling. I'm like, okay, it's probably going to pass after 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm like 30, 45 minutes in, and it's not passing. So I'm like, well, I'm going back home because I do not want to be out here as it's just drizzling rain. So yeah, maybe as the sun comes out, maybe things will get better for the Dodgers, more so with their pitching staff, which is what we're going to kind of talk about in today's episode. But before we talk about the latest series and all that kind of fun stuff, make sure you guys follow the show on whatever sort of social media app you guys use. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Inside the Ravine. You guys can also watch our full episodes over on YouTube. Just search Inside the Ravine, and you guys can listen to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Odyssey app. So, Josh, last time we talked was after the weekend series in Tampa Bay. Dodgers come back home. They take care of the first two games against the Nationals. They lose game 3, kind of a back and forth game, a really weird game by the Dodger standards because they did a lot that they should have won, but you can't win them all. They still take 2 out of 3 from the Nationals, and although the Nationals aren't like, the Oakland A's, this is a team that we were kind of talking about. You probably should sweep, probably get some momentum going towards the series against the Yankees. They don't do it, and overall, I mean, I know a lot of people want to shift the blames for Wednesday's loss. You can go towards the offense, you can go towards the pitching. If you score 6 runs, you likely really should win the game. Dodgers also, I think, stole 6 bases for like the second time in franchise history. So the offense did do enough. It was the pitching that really cost them. Josh, we're going to kind of get to like the big talking point in a second, but just again, the reason the Dodgers lost was the fact that their bullpen came in and just completely, once again, fell apart at the end. Brusdar Graterol allowed 3 runs in that 8th inning. Phil Bickford came in for the 9th, allowed 2 runs. And it seems like, Josh, I mean, this is something we've talked about numerous times about how we always thought the Dodgers' strength this season, I think even before the season began, we were talking about, like, what's the one thing you can count on? We each said the bullpen, and the bullpen continues to just disappoint. It's been awful. And at this point, outside of maybe Evan Phillips and Caleb Ferguson, I don't think there's a name coming out of that pen right now that I trust even in a 3-run lead at this point.
Yeah, you're right. And, Ferguson comes in after Syndergaard started on Wednesday, and he comes in and he throws a clean inning, 1 inning, his ERA is down to 1.35. Like, Ferguson is the guy that you can rely on, the only guy that's not named Evan Phillips. And after that, I mean, the Dodgers roll out Vesia, Graterol, Bickford, and this is after a Syndergaard start. And I'm not trying to, pour salt in the wound or sound, pessimistic or anything, but 10 runs when those 4 guys are pitching for you is not the most shocking thing at this point. And you know what? Vesia started the inning a little bit rough and then bounced back with 2 strikeouts, got out of it clean. Obviously, he's only been back up for 2 games, and this was after, the home run on his first pitch the other night, first pitch back in the majors. But look, I mean, the thing with Bickford and Graterol is that other than the fact that Bickford's numbers are not very good and he seems to get knocked around every time he pitches, except for obviously that one game against the Twins, the 13 or the 12 inning game. I always say 13. I don't know what I've said that like 6 times on this show. I said it like 4 times in the episode immediately following that game. In the 12-inning game, he came out in that first inning was awful, right? Awful. And then pitched the next 3 and didn't allow another run. It was incredible. But the thing with Bickford and Gratterall is that those two guys play with fire every time they come out. And Bickford's numbers after playing with fire are not good. Gratterall comes out and it's a roller coaster every single outing, but he gets out of it every single time. And you know what? This time he just didn't. 3 runs, none of them are earned. And if we're being completely honest, this is an outing that doesn't affect his ERA because they were all unearned runs. But they're all unearned because of an error that he committed. Like, you just have to take the easy out in these situations. I mean, you got a little dribbler up the first baseline. There is no reason for him to make some diving Derek Jeter-esque throw all the way across the infield to second base. The out's right there. And you know what? Then he gets the next 2 outs. And then somebody comes up and delivers and brings all the runs home. And like, that's just what we get is when the bullpen is tasked with shutting the game down, and it's not Caleb Ferguson and it's not Evan Phillips, it's a roller coaster and you don't know what you're going to get. And, you know, I was talking to somebody yesterday, like Yency Almonte's had a few better outings, but it's like, when is that going to really culminate in consistency? Because right now it's not there for really anybody.
Yeah, I wrote about this in the article yesterday that I did, and I put that honestly the biggest reason the Dodgers lost was that blip from Gratterall in the 8th when you're literally taught in Little League, get the easy out at first. He tried to be, like you said, Derek Jeter, try to get the out at second. Obviously, he would have gotten 3 outs, gotten out of the inning. Instead, the Nationals hit a 3-run home run. They take the lead. So Gratterall's a weird one because, yeah, on the season, those runs were unearned. 1.90 ERA. You know, he has a FIP of 2.73, a 1.10 WHIP. Like, those are all really solid numbers. But for some reason, he doesn't feel like a high leverage guy. Like, I just don't trust him when he comes into games, and I guess he's just maybe gotten really lucky this year. But yeah, Phil Bickford, Josh, I tweeted this yesterday, and if you take out Phil Bickford's heroic game against the Twins when he went 12, not 13 innings, his ERA on the season is 7.83. I mean, that's horrendous. I mean, we have a large enough sample size. He's been horrible. And even last year, I mean, obviously a couple years ago is when the Dodgers brought him in and he was fantastic. Last season, I mean, Phil Bickford posted an ERA just under 5. So this is 2 seasons of back-to-back, just Phil Bickford not being a great reliever. And I get it at this point. The options are really thin. Like, I don't know who the Dodgers really could have turned to yesterday, but it's concerning. I mean, at this point, I do think their bullpen is actually their biggest weakness at the moment because, like I said, outside of Evan Phillips and Caleb Ferguson, I don't know who you trust. Yency Almonte, like you said, he's had 4 or 5 really solid outings, but at what point is he going to revert back to what we saw at the beginning of the season? Vesia, you know, he's looked bad since he returned, and Victor Gonzalez, he's a hit or miss. Justin Brule's a hit or miss. Obviously, you got guys in the minors, so hopefully they have some guys that are able to come back healthy, but yeah, it seems like at the trade deadline, that's going to be the biggest need because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the bullpen all across the board, they probably are all near the absolute bottom when it comes to every stat. So, yeah, Josh, I guess just hope the starting pitching can go deeper into games, but the starting pitching, it might not be that much better because something that we're pretty much going to talk about for this episode, and that's Noah Syndergaard. Obviously, we've talked about him a couple times this year, but it's gotten to the point now where I just don't know how the Dodgers can continue to throw him out there. Obviously, with the number of injuries currently in the starting rotation, they have no choice. But another bad start yesterday, Josh. Goes 5 innings, allows 5 runs on 7 hits, only strikes out 2. ERA on the season now is 6.54. That is the worst in the National League, one of the worst in all of baseball. His whip is 1.40. Opponents are hitting 303 off of him, which is the worst in all of baseball among starting pitchers. So, by all accounts, again, you can look into as many different numbers and metrics and stats as you want. Noah Syndergaard has been one of the worst 2 to 3 starters in all of baseball. The Dodgers continue to throw him out there. Josh, if you take out his one start against the Brewers when he only went 1 inning, the Dodgers did win that game, but I'm not going to count it. The Dodgers are 3-7 when Noah Syndergaard starts a game. 3-7, and you know this is a team that is fighting for a first place spot in the division, and he is straight up losing you games. And the only reason the Dodgers have 3 wins, in those 3 wins by Syndergaard, the Dodgers offense scored 8 runs, 6 runs, and 9 runs. So the offense showed up. If it wasn't for the offense showing up, he could potentially be 1-8. So Josh, I do have his post game quotes from yesterday, but before I get to those and we kind of again dive more into Syndergaard, just what are your thoughts on the state of him in the starting rotation after 2 months now?
Yeah, I mean, the experiment just kind of needs to come to an end. And look, like the two of us had talked after the signing in the offseason coming in that this was something that we were kind of like, whoa, what? And then started thinking maybe it's going to be the Tyler Anderson factor or the Heaney factor, just working with a guy like Mark Pryor. Maybe it was going to work out and maybe it was going to be a steal of a deal for the Dodgers. And right now, it's not. The experiment needs to come to an end. I mean, he's not making that much money. And the Dodgers continue to thrust him in the situation. The problem right now is that Gavin Stone is not ready. Guys like Pepio are still out. And then obviously you have the big names that are out. Julio, Dustin May, and then obviously Walker Buehler is going to be out for what we assume to be most of the season, if not all of it. But right now it seems like up until this point it has been Syndergaard needs to pitch and he needs to eat innings. And you know what? I've said this about some of the guys that are in the batting order and getting ABs. Look, keep getting them ABs and they will break out of the slump. I said that early on about Max Muncy and about how we both said he needed to be moved down in the lineup. Obviously, some people are like DFA, and it's like, come on. Yeah. Move him down in the lineup, let him get some ABs. I said before, like, you hope Chris Taylor comes around once he gets more ABs and things like that. But right now, like, the innings, I don't think Syndergaard's going to get better with innings. Like, it's just not happening right now. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, when the Dodgers get healthier at the front end of games with their pitching staff now, I think time runs out on Syndergaard's time in the rotation. He's probably going to be moved back to the bullpen, at the absolute least. And I think that the Dodgers, when they get these guys back, that has to be the move because the experiment at this point has run its course. There has been no signs of improvement.
Yeah, I think the situation itself sucks, but I think the thing that sucks more is the fact that Noah Syndergaard has pretty much accepted the fact that he sucks. It'd be one thing if he was, trash and he was going out there and kind of just not really caring, saying, yeah, I'm just not getting lucky. The results or whatever, I'll get him next time. Like, every time he has a post-game interview, like, you could just feel for the guy, and obviously a lot of these guys, they could just kind of brush it off and move on, but no, he, like, answers the questions, and his post-game presser from yesterday, there was a quote that came out where I was like, man, there's no way he actually said this. Someone just probably, tweeted something, but I watched the clip. He said it. Josh, it's just under a minute long. So first off, just listen to what he has to say. But I think another thing to pay attention to is just listen to how just dejected he sounds. Like, he sounds completely just done. Like, he just sounds demoralized, like his season is over. So just listen to this clip from his start yesterday.
I was trying to make those adjustments, but just trying to make these big adjustments during starts or in between starts just isn't the easiest. I'd give my hypothetical firstborn to be the old me again. I'll do everything possible to get back to that. It's just, it really sucks. Like, right now, I just feel like I'm the only weakest link on this team. So, it's just, I want to go out there and compete and be successful for the other guys in this clubhouse, but it's just not working out. Doc's just a tremendous leader. The presence he has in this clubhouse, I think we're all extremely grateful for and really benefit from. It's just nice having him having my back.
The dude sounds like his puppy just died, or he's like a high schooler that's told you'll never play baseball again. I know a lot of people say he's making $13 million, like blah, 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 but you could tell that he genuinely cares. Like, he is frustrated that he is just not able to figure it out. The dude said, I will give up my hypothetical firstborn child if I could go back to the way I was. Josh, I say a lot of things when I'm watching.
Laugh. I don't want to laugh, but it is an insane quote. That is an insane soundbite.
And I think he means it too. Like, he would do anything to be like the Syndergaard of old. I can't even imagine what it's like to be at the top of your game, throwing 100, receiving Cy Young votes to now where you are the worst pitcher in all of baseball. Yeah, money aside, like that just has to be such an awful, awful thing to go through just on a personal level where, again, I feel for him. That's what kind of makes this whole situation worse where he knows, he knows he sucks. Dodgers fans, they know he sucks. Dave Roberts probably knows he sucks, but like we've talked about, at this point, there's just nothing the Dodgers can do, and I guess for at least a couple more weeks, got to just throw him out there and just hope there's going to be some breakthrough, and he's able to somehow turn things around just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough because you do feel for him and you do want to root for him. At the same time, he knows it, man. Like, he's not running from any of this. Like, he knows what it takes to go out there and win. He's just not getting it done. And you feel bad for him. But I would love for the Dodgers to, first of all, get a little bit of, an improvement out of him. Obviously, you want something to improve. At the same time, would love for them to find a spot for him in the bullpen because look, right now, maybe that's where he fits best as the season goes down or as we get down the line of the season because bullpen's not getting it done either. If you could throw him out there for an inning later in games or use him as a long reliever or something like that, maybe that's a better fit for him at this point to get back to where he wants to be and where he needs to be. But right now, the Dodgers don't have that as an option.
Yeah, one thing we talked about in regards to him moving to the bullpen, you can't really have him as a high leverage guy just because he doesn't strike anyone out. But one thing I did suggest, you can maybe use him in that long man kind of role where you have him in the bullpen and you only use him if your starter gets pulled after a couple innings and you need a guy to come out of the pen and eat innings, or it's the 7th inning and you're up by 8 runs. Then you can bring him in, then he has a spot in the bullpen. But outside of that, I mean, you clearly can't continue to throw him out there in the starting rotation. It does sound like, and Dave Roberts did have an interesting quote yesterday. He was pretty much asked, do you think Noah Syndergaard is going to make his next start in Cincinnati next week? And Dave said, I don't know. The hope is that he does start. Right now, I just don't want to answer that question. Rarely does Dave Roberts ever kind of just throw a player under the bus like that. Normally, he would say, we expect Syndergaard to be out there. Yeah. Even Dave is I don't know what to do with him. Now, the Dodgers are in a good position because they have an off day today. They have an off day on Monday. So if they want, they could technically rework the starting rotation, not have to worry about using him next week in Cincinnati. And then the following series, when they're in Philadelphia, I think the expectation is that Julio Urias is going to be activated off the IL. Maybe Julio can take Syndergaard's spot in the rotation. And then, you can put him in the bullpen, see what happens. Maybe give him one of those little phantom IL stints where he can take a couple of weeks off because at that point, it seems like it's bullpen or nothing, Josh. And I know a lot of people are going to say you can't just DFA him, you can't waste that kind of money. Well, the D-backs are spending $35 million to not have Madison Bumgarner take the mound for them. The Dodgers are spending $22 million to have Trevor Bauer pitch in, Japan. At this point, I think he signed for $13 million, so I think they would owe him maybe something like $8 to $9 million. That's not a lot of money to eat up, and at the end of the day, that might be the best option for the Dodgers. But yeah, it has to be soon. Maybe 1 start, maybe 2 starts at the absolute most before you have to make a decision. But yeah, if I were to guess, if they want to keep him around, it has to be bullpen, or if not that, sorry Syndergaard, off you go. DFA. Hopefully, you figure it out somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, you want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, this is a business, and the Dodgers are in the business of trying to compete for a World Series. And before you do that, you have to win a division title. You have to get into the playoffs. You have to win baseball games. And right now, he's not helping them do that.
Yeah. Like I said, they're 3-7 in the games he starts. The division race is going to be pretty nuts this year, so hopefully for his sake he figures it out because the dude genuinely cares. He wants to be better. He feels awful. So hopefully that situation can be resorted out and the Dodgers can turn things around with him there. We are going to take a quick break. But Josh, when we come back, something I didn't prep you for that I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, a little discussion on the division race moving forward in the NL West. All right, we are back from break. We're going to wrap things up with a quick little discussion I would like to have with Josh. Now, Josh, coming into the season, a lot of people, myself included, were expecting the San Diego Padres to be right on the Dodgers' tail. Now they still can. There's still plenty of baseball left to be had. But last I checked, I think the Padres are 8 games back of the Dodgers, so they're currently not in the race right now. It's another team that is right on the Dodgers' tail, a team that no one was expecting, a team that we talked about prior to the season, who we had as a potential wildcard team, but not a threat in the NL West, entering June. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, as of right now, I believe are half a game out of first place. Again, we're recording this just after 1 p.m. on June 1st, and I think they're playing right now. So if they win, they're tied for first with the Dodgers. If they lose, they're 1 game back of the Dodgers. As of right now, they're losing to the Rockies. So a lot of things can happen. But at the end of this episode, the D-backs are going to be right there. Josh, by any chance, did you happen to see what the Arizona Diamondbacks Twitter account posted yesterday?
Yes, I did see that. It was very interesting.
Yeah, well, here it is right on the screen right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can check it out right there. And for those that didn't see it, you can either go to the D-Back social, or if not, I'll just describe it to you. Josh, I'm going to try my best to describe this. It would be like a gray blob of a man with a Dodger logo on him. Looks pretty happy because he's about to get a big yellow ball that says NL West lead. And then the photo below it, it shows him now all of a sudden kind of sweating it out, with a bigger pink blob holding him wearing an Arizona Diamondbacks hat. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that's been kind of going through it the last couple of years, they've had two good months. They're getting a little excited. And I wanted to talk about this, Josh, because a lot of Dodgers fans that are kind of maybe new to the whole fan base, they might not know, but before Dodgers fans could not stand Padres fans, go back a couple of years, and the D-backs were the organization that fans, us personally, could not stand. We were in Arizona in 2017 when the D-backs had that good year. They made the playoffs. The Dodgers faced them in the first round. Josh, you can confirm this. Their fans, that entire season, but especially during that playoff run, were insufferable because they thought the little brother is no more. We're finally going to compete with the big boys. Here we are. And clearly that went nowhere because the Dodgers swept him, but that kind of fell off, a little because they went on to suck. The Padres became good, but like the D-backs Bally Sports West accounts, they would always tweet a bunch of stuff at the Dodgers. A bunch of, all the people that cover the team, they would kind of do the same thing. And it was kind of like emerging as this little annoying rivalry. Well, Josh, it's been about 5 or 6 years, but it looks like that little annoying rivalry might be returning because the D-backs have been good for 2 months.
Yeah, it definitely could be. We have some very close friends of ours that are big-time D-backs fans. My girlfriend is a huge D-backs fan. So, yeah, I mean, it was definitely like I will say, like, D-backs fans view the Dodgers as their number one rival. Pretty much all Phoenix or Arizona sports teams do. Like, U of A fans can tell me if I'm wrong here, but we both went to ASU, and like it seems to me that after U of A, the two teams that you hate the most are USC and UCLA. It seems like Utah for ASU fans is up there now, as we know for obvious reasons on the ASU fandom side of things. But like ASU fans seem to hate USC and UCLA more than anybody other than U of A, and it's the same thing for U of A. After ASU, it seems like it's UCLA and USC. For Phoenix Suns fans, a lot of times it feels like the Lakers, and for D-backs fans, it seems like it's the Dodgers, and for the Cardinals, it a lot of times seems like the Rams. It's like that's just kind of how it is. It's kind of like that city to city rivalry, and there are probably a lot of different reasons why it could be like that. But that's just kind of how it seems to be between Phoenix and LA, where Phoenix does not like LA for whatever reason, and there might be a lot of reasons behind it. But now that they've been good again, that's kind of where it's stemming from, because, hey, maybe we're not in first place, but we're right there. And we've been suffering for a little while, and now we're right there. And you know what? To the D-backs credit, head-to-head, they've been better against the Dodgers this year than the Dodgers have been against the D-backs. So by all means, like, be excited about that. But here we go. The unfortunate thing for both the Dodgers and the D-backs is up to this point, the rest of the season, you're going to be responsible for winning your own games, and you're going to hope that your opponent loses elsewhere. But at the same time, there's not many head-to-head games remaining. So you're not going to see much Dodgers D-backs for the rest of the season. There's only 2 games left, I think, because we had 2 4-game
Yeah.
series to start the year, and there's 1 2-game series left. And that's where we're at, right? Like, they're not going to play each other at all. So you got to take care of your own business, and then, maybe you'll meet in the wild card.
Yeah, first off, I just want to say, I do like the meme that they posted. I wish the Dodgers account would post more stuff like that, because anytime accounts post funny things like that, I think it's great. Like, I'm all for that kind of banter. I wish, if anything, the Dodgers would kind of like give it a reply or something like that. So, yeah, I'm looking at the schedule right now, Josh, just because I want to see. So the Dodgers and D-backs play 2 times in Arizona in the middle of August. They then have a 3-game series at Dodger Stadium at the end of August. And yeah, I think that's it. So technically, yeah, 2
so it's
series.
5 games left. Yeah.
So 5 games. So that's still very minimal. And the D-backs do have the head-to-head, which at the end of the year could be a very, very important thing to have. So yeah, it's been 2 months. We'll see if this D-backs team is legit moving forward, but I just wanted to kind of bring it to the attention of Dodgers fans that now we obviously know that we live in the Padres' heads rent-free like that, but D-backs fans and the organization is probably thinking, we got this. Like, we're right in the thick of things. So they're going to be thinking about the Dodgers a lot. So just keep that in mind, that not only do you have to worry about the Padres, you have to worry about the D-backs as well, because they're coming, they're close, and it's going to be fun. I think it makes it more fun as well. I think it makes the season more fun when you have more teams that are going for it, more teams that are competing, more teams that are in the hunt. And again, it's going to make those 5 games they play in August like 10 times more valuable, because you only play them a handful of more times. You want to have that head-to-head record, and at the end of the day, this division might come down to a game or 2. So I just wanted to share that with you, Josh. Again, I'm sure you probably saw it. Your girlfriend probably shared it with you, thought it was the greatest thing ever. And like I said, I thought it was funny. I like memes like this. Give me the memes, but they're coming.
Poor Rockies, man. The poor Rockies.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't been very good in a while, but also, like, the Dodgers and the Giants don't like each other. The Padres don't like the Dodgers. And after a few years, especially after last year, now Dodgers don't like the Padres. The D-backs don't like the Dodgers. The Dodgers think the D-backs could be annoying when they're good. And the Rockies are like, yeah.
Yeah.
I just had to Google who is the
out.
Rockies' rival. And according to Wikipedia, it's sometimes considered to be the D-backs just because they're the 2 newest teams in the division. But again, I don't know any D-backs fan that's like, yeah, I hate the Rockies. So
We all love the Rockies. Hey man, they're sitting there 10 games out.
They really are hard to hate, though.
Just
even when the Rockies are good, I feel like I've got nothing against the Rockies. Who has something against the Rockies?
No, no one. So hey, there you go. Deal with the Padres, deal with the D-backs, even potentially deal with the Giants. They're only 5.5 games back. But Josh, that does wrap up this week's episode of Inside the Ravine. We got the Yankees coming into town for 3. That's going to be a fun series, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of overreactions after that series. It's going to be fun because I believe we get Clayton Kershaw. I think we get Bobby Miller on Sunday Night Baseball, so this is going to be a fun series. The Yankees are playing great. The Dodgers are playing great, so make sure to stay tuned for that next episode. Josh, before we part for the episode, any final words, thoughts, concerns, dreams, aspirations on your end?
Hey, Michael Grove getting a start this weekend? Maybe
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe this is a really important start for Michael Grove going forward, because if he goes out and shows out, like, maybe going forward he's that next guy that's in the rotation and not just slotted in for the time being. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and steal Dustin May's starting job, but obviously we talked about somebody else on the show that's maybe not going to be starting much anymore, or that's been the discussion. Like, maybe Michael Grove is the next guy you slot in.
Maybe. There's 2 reactions from it, Josh. Either he's fantastic and you go, okay, the rotation is saved, he's taken Syndergaard's spot, or things don't go well and you're thinking, yeah, we're in a dark place moving forward. But as always, you guys can listen to the show wherever you guys get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and the Odyssey app. You guys can find us on social media at Inside the Ravine, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You guys can find us there. For Josh Schaefer, this has been Blake Harris. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you may be.